So I'm with Daphne Caine here, member for Garff on the Laxey beachfront, and of course the seawall. There's a bit of contention here to say the least, and that's what this interview is about. There was this demonstration version that was put in here, and everyone, well, we looked at it, didn't get very many positive comments, but at the end of the day, something has to be done here. Where are we up to now? Because with the flood plans and so on, is Laxey in it?
No, apparently not a priority at the moment. I actually asked the question to the Department of Infrastructure only last week, and Laxey seawall is not featuring in their current priorities, and I think that's a big shame given that we've got the ARUT report and the requirement to progress the flood strategy for the island.
But the problem wasn't it, that no one could quite agree with what they wanted here. They didn't want this solid wall, yet at the same time they don't want to be flooded.
No, I agree. We didn't want to change Laxey from being an attractive, traditional beach amenity to an ugly, solid concrete wall. But I had a bit of a brainwave over Christmas, and I just, in my O-level art, sketched up a possibility for the department, and I delivered it in January, ran it past the commissioners with no sort of prejudice to any future planning application, and just suggested, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. We acknowledge the need, with global warming, rising sea levels, and the increasing incidence of severe weather events that batter Laxey, and the residents of the seafront who experience repeated flooded events, that something needs to be done, and that this section is going to have to be raised. So my idea was, instead of a solid wall, which wasn't particularly popular in Douglas, although it's now been approved, my idea was just you make it an art installation and appropriate to the village, and I was suggesting you could have a school or a sort of salmon race of a relief sculpture with the local mermaid from Bulgham with the apple sitting in the middle of it, and if you had a sort of plinth, a sort of step seat that you could stand on and look over the wall, but that it was a beautiful feature, I thought that would maybe enhance it. But anyway, it's not currently. I don't know if they'll consider I know obviously perhaps commission a local artist. We have world-class sculptures on the island.
But this was your O-level art coming out new?
Just a little project over Christmas, and understanding and acknowledging that something will be required in this location, but we don't want people to be deterred from coming to Laxey because they don't want to be faced with a horrible seawall. We want them to come and admire this amazing art installation. Well,
it appeared, didn't it? It's back to what I was starting with, that Laxey weren't wanting it, basically, because they couldn't agree, so it seems like the department decided, well, stuff you, we'll just do Douglas instead.
Well, they're going to have to do all the flood strategy, and I think Laxey was something like number 5 out of 23 priorities, and the ARUT report makes reference to it and says that these have to be done in a more coordinated way, and perhaps with a flood czar or some senior person coordinating at a strategic level the priorities and the implementation of capital projects, infrastructure that's desperately needed to protect the community.
Because we all know there's cheap ways of doing this by putting down massive big boulders and moving all this stone so it doesn't have that way up and over. You want something that's going to be there, a bit of beauty, and it's going to be for life. Obviously.
I think that we have to acknowledge the IPCC, world, climate change. There is likely to be increasing events happening at Laxey. Yes, we talk to local people. They say they want the beach management to be maintained and improved. There's part of the plan that the DOI came out with was an increase in this rock armour, these massive boulders in this particular corner, increasing the wall height here to, I think it was around 4 feet, but actually it needed to be, I think it was 1.2 metre, it needs to be 1.4 metre. But my idea is, if you have a little plinth, rather than raise a whole pavement up, with all the other problems of the other side, then you have a feature that's sort of a bit interactive, tactile, relief sculpture, and then you've got the recurve to send the tide back. It potentially, any design, or with whatever people felt was appropriate, but perhaps it could be explored, and I think we should be somewhere on the priority list.
You're not on it, so how are you going to get back on?
Well, I suppose it's up to the department. I don't know how far ahead they're looking.
Right.
I put my...
There's no money.
Well, there is money, because the National Flood Strategy had £50 million of budget put towards it, and the budgeting for the original seawall plans that they had in Laxey, I think, was around £1.2 million. So all I'm saying is, out of that enormous budget, surely a small proportion of it could be ensuring that whatever they put in at Laxey is decorative and appealing and in keeping with the area, an enhancement rather than ugliness.